The wind howled outside, sweeping up thick layers of snow from the ground. The sky was pitch black, with only a faint moonlight struggling through the heavy clouds. Jack sat by the fireplace in his small wooden cabin, his eyes empty, staring into the flickering flames. It had been a long time since he chose this isolated life, far from the city and the painful memories he had buried deep within. But amid the howling wind, another sound crept into the silence, a faint, desperate scratching at the door. Jack frowned. A tree branch, perhaps, tossed against the cabin by the storm. But then, the sound came again, followed by a soft whimper. He hesitated for a second before pulling open the heavy wooden door. A gust of freezing wind rushed in, making him squint against the cold. In the dim light, a frail figure emerged, a German shepherd, its fur matted with snow, shivering violently. But what made Jack's chest tighten wasn't just the sight of the mother dog, it was the two tiny figures curled up at her feet. Two puppies, so small they were almost buried in the snow, pressed against their mother, seeking warmth. The mother dog looked up at him, her eyes filled with silent pleading yet wary at the same time. There was no aggression, no hostility, only a quiet request. As if she knew that if she wasn't let in, neither she nor her puppies would survive the night. Jack felt something inside him crack. He wasn't one to easily pity, not after everything he had endured. But in this moment, the heart he thought had turned to stone wavered. He crouched down, extending a careful hand. "Hey, girl. Where did you come from?" The mother dog flinched slightly, her body tense. Jack could see the signs, she had been mistreated before. The way she braced herself, the fear lurking behind those weary eyes. But then, as if surrendering to the last sliver of hope, she nudged her puppies forward. Jack held his breath. A simple gesture, yet it carried so much weight. She wasn't begging for food, nor shelter for herself, but for them. A mother, abandoned and broken, yet still putting her children above everything else. Without hesitation, Jack scooped up all three of them, brushing the snow off their soaked fur. Their breaths were weak, especially the two puppies. He quickly wrapped them in a thick blanket, setting down a bowl of warm water and food before the mother. She hesitated for a moment but then, unable to hold back any longer, she ate ravenously. Jack realized she must have been starving for days. That night, Jack didn't sleep. He sat in his chair, watching the mother dog curled protectively around her pups, exhausted yet still trying to keep them warm. Faint scars marred her body, and she flinched at every sudden noise, a silent testament to the suffering she had endured. But what haunted him the most was her eyes. Eyes that had seen too much cruelty yet still held on to the last remnants of hope. Like his own. The next morning, Jack took the three of them to the local vet. The results were no surprise. The mother was severely malnourished, her body carrying old wounds from past abuse. Yet, despite it all, she had survived. She had fought for them. Jack watched as the mother lay on the examination table, his expression unreadable. "She's tough," he murmured. The vet nodded. "What do you plan to do with them?" Jack clenched his fist for a moment before speaking. "Keep them." And so, the mother dog was given a name, Grace, a symbol of resilience and quiet strength. The two puppies, one jet black and the other snowy white, became Ash and Snow. Life in the cabin was never the same again. The sound of tiny paws skittering across the wooden floor, the soft barks that woke him in the morning, the long walks through the forest with Grace by his side. From a creature once terrified of everything, Grace slowly began to trust him. One evening, when Jack returned home late in the rain, she was there, waiting at the door, eyes filled with worry. Jack said nothing, only gently stroked her head. But in that moment, he understood, they were family now. One night, as Jack was preparing food for Grace and the puppies, an unfamiliar sound echoed from outside. A shadow loomed beyond the falling snow. Jack tensed, his instincts sharp. Stepping onto the porch, he came face to face with a man. His voice was rough, cold. "That dog belongs to me. Give her back." Jack's jaw clenched. But before he could speak, a deep growl sliced through the air. Grace, the dog who had once cowered at the slightest noise, now stood in front of him, her fur bristling, eyes burning with fury. Jack didn't need to ask. He already knew. Taking a deep breath, he locked eyes with the man, his voice steady and dangerously low. "She's not yours anymore. She has a home." The man sneered, stepping forward, but Grace barked sharply, the puppies whimpering behind her, caught between fear and determination. Jack didn't back down. "If you don't leave now, I'll call the police." Something in his tone made the man hesitate. He muttered a curse under his breath before turning and disappearing into the night. Jack didn't move until he was sure the man was gone, then slowly knelt beside Grace. She whimpered softly, pressing her nose into his hand. From that night on, Jack knew they had found each other for a reason. In the storm that had nearly claimed her life, it wasn't just Grace who had been saved. Jack had been given a second chance, too, to love and to be loved. And for the first time in years, Jack smiled, knowing he had finally found what he had been searching for all along, a home. The story of Jack and Grace delivers a profound lesson on compassion, resilience, and the power of second chances. In life, everyone experiences moments of loneliness, pain, or uncertainty. Yet, it is love and kindness that become guiding lights, helping us rediscover faith in ourselves and the world around us. Jack, once a man withdrawn from life, found new purpose when he opened his heart to Grace and her puppies. And Grace, a creature who had suffered cruelty, learned to trust and love again. Their story reminds us that no matter how painful the past may be, there is always hope ahead. When we extend care to others, we are not only saving them, we are also saving ourselves. And sometimes, family is not defined by blood but by those who stand by us, offering warmth and unwavering companionship as we weather the storms of life together.